Well, welcome, St. Joseph Parish, to the confessional. Boys and girls over at the school, all people tuning in on the parish website or the Facebook page. Today we're going to talk about how to make a good confession. And why do we come to confession? We come to confession so that we can have a clean soul. Most importantly, so that we can have a clean soul to receive our Lord in the Eucharist and also to get to heaven. We need a clean soul to get to heaven. And I'm going to go over today what kind of things we need to confess in the confessional and what kind of things we can confess in the confessional, but we don't have to all the time. Okay? So let's go over the sins that we need to confess in the confessional in order for them to be forgiven. We call these sins mortal sins, or if you want to boil it down to its most basic form, the really bad sins, the mortal sins. What are those mortal sins? Okay? Those mortal sins, there are three criteria for determining a mortal sin. Okay. The first criteria is grave matter. What does that mean, grave matter? Grave matter is most easily defined as breaking any of the 10 commandments. Okay? Secondly, in order for a sin to be a mortal sin, we have to commit that grave matter with full knowledge, meaning that we have to know that it's a sin, okay? So grave matter and full knowledge. And then the third criteria for a mortal sin is that we do it with consent. We consent to it completely. So we commit a grave matter sin, aka one of the 10 commandments. We do that with full knowledge, knowing exactly what we're doing. And we do that with full consent, meaning we choose to do it anyway, even though we know it's wrong. So those are the three criteria for a mortal sin, and we have to confess all of our mortal sins in the confessional in order to have them forgiven. Now, what does a mortal sin do? It separates us from God, right? Those are the sins that separate us from God. Those are the mortal sins. Now, those are the really, really bad sins, and then there's just bad sins, right? Those are called venial sins, and those are the little tiny sins that we might commit whenever we're driving and we say something under our breath, right? Or maybe we had a bad thought about somebody and we were angry at them, right? So those are little sins that we are allowed to confess in the confessional, but we don't have to. We can go straight to God for those, and we are also forgiven those little sins by receiving Holy Communion. Receiving Holy Communion takes away and cleanses our souls from the little sins. However, the grave sins, the big sins, we have to come to confession to have them forgiven. Now, jumping back to the grave sins, the mortal sins, let's go over what the grave matter is, right? I said the grave matter are the 10 commandments. Let's go over really quick, what are the 10 commandments? Have I worshipped another god? That doesn't necessarily mean worshiping a foreign god from a different religion. That can also mean worshiping something that you own, like your car. Essentially, it's putting something before God, making something in your life more important than God, okay? We also see keep holy the Sabbath day, and that means going to Mass on Sunday or Saturday night, because the Saturday night Mass suffices for the Sunday obligation. Moving on, we see don't take the Lord's name in vain. What does that mean? That means don't use God's name superfluously or in jokes or anything where it's not mentioning the holiness of God's name, or in a curse word, things like that. We see don't kill. We do not kill anybody. We don't lie. Bearing false witness means lying, and we say one thing when it's actually the other thing. We don't steal. Have we stolen anything? Have we been really jealous of somebody? Have we coveted something? So jealous that we wish bad upon another person? Have we committed adultery? These are the sins, the things that we need to confess in the confessional if we've committed them with full knowledge and full consent. So everybody, we now know how to make a good confession. One last note, confession is such a beautiful sacrament and everybody wants to receive confession because it cleanses their soul. Now, St. Joseph is such a blessed parish with so many beautiful parishioners and family members that there's a line in the confessional, to the confessional coming up, and they're all so eager to get their sins forgiven. What does that mean? That means that time is precious when confessions are being offered. So we don't equate confession to counseling. Now, a priest, me, Father Saad, we love to meet with you. If you want to talk about something at a great length, the confessional is not the spot for that, but reach out to us at the parish office and through the parish office so we can talk with you and put your mind at ease. But let's remember that when we come into confession, we simply state the type of sin that we committed and the number of times in order to receive cleansing of our soul. So I think we've learned a lot today about confession and how to make a good confession. I know you guys will make a wonderful confession the next time you come. And until then, God bless you.